Have you ever thought about where your food comes from, how it was made, and what impacts it makes on the rest of the world? For some of us, the answer might be no, and that's okay. However, the way we produce our food as humans does have a global impact, and we must start asking these questions before we create situations that may damage the future of our lives and the lives of the future generations to come. Climate change is becoming a reality in many parts of the world. In the next coming years, decisions on how to deal with each aspect of climate change will have significant impacts towards our future. This video will address the burdens of agriculture that's created as the world continues to increase in both global temperature and global population. By highlighting the problems agriculture contributes to climate change and offering possible solutions to these problems, we can be able to raise awareness and create a needed dialogue about how we as a society put food on our table. Nitrogen-based fertilizer is the main cause for why agriculture has such a high effect on nitrous oxide emissions. By 2030, it is expected that, due to constant use of nitrogen fertilizer and increased animal manure production, the nitrous oxide emissions will increase by 35% to 60%. Methane emissions are expected to increase with the increase of livestock. Projected emissions are expected to increase by 60% by 2030. Agricultural methane emissions are caused by excrement, enteric fermentation, and manure production. Agricultural carbon dioxide emissions make up only about 1% of global anthropogenic emissions. Future emissions from carbon dioxide from agriculture is uncertain, but one thing is clear: the agricultural greenhouse gases continue to rise. The trend since 1990 and projected until 2030 continue to show an upward trend, which doesn't even include the emissions that are done by all the farm equipment that are used.
It's a natural resource that can be replenished at a comparable rate to the rate of consumption by humans. Some renewable resources can be used at a constant rate with no fear of running out, such as solar radiation, wind, hydroelectricity, but some are not as sustainable and need to be carefully managed, like fresh water, timber, and biomass. Gasoline, coal, natural gas, diesel, and other commodities derived from fossil fuels are non-renewable. It is also energy that, in its production or consumption, has minimal negative impacts on the health of humans and the ecological systems and environment. Taken from the sun's radiation, it is the most abundant source of energy on the Earth. There are a variety of forms that can offer the solution to the world's energy problems and ultimately make the environment sustainable for future generations by reducing environmental pollution from fossil fuel energy usage. Compared to kerosene, diesel, or propane that powers generators in agricultural operations, solar energy uses no fuel, has lower running costs, is reliable, long-living, low maintenance, and is clean energy. Some disadvantages include the intermittence of sun and the difficult-to-locate resources. Wind systems can provide power that can be used directly or stored in batteries. These systems are very reliable in areas that get enough consistent wind. The systems can be very cost-effective and reliable for many power needs on farms and ranches. It would be able to pump water, generate electricity, grind grains, and more, while at the same time being pollution-free, produce no waste, and require no fuel. The only potential downsides are that they are expensive to first install, and finding the resources to build them can be difficult. Flowing water creates an energy that can be captured and turned into electricity. The water is usually stopped with a dam in a river and goes through turbines that activates generators that create electricity. Disadvantages include the disruption of the natural river environment, the large expense of building power/dams, and the potential of a drought.
Currently, the agricultural industry accounts for 25% of the global greenhouse gas emissions through the cultivation of crops, livestock, and deforestation. Due to population growth and dietary preferences, the demand for agricultural productions will increase. Most farmers fail to measure the greenhouse gas emissions, which in turn makes it difficult for them to determine how to reduce their impact. By teaching farmers how to measure their emissions, it should improve their ability to identify their mitigation options. By acknowledging the benefits of renewable energies, we hope agricultural communities will be willing to adapt to these new practices.